What's up, everybody? It's Jeffrey Lyles welcoming you to another edition of Lyles Movie Files. Today is the big edition before somebody takes the final trek, the long awaited final destination. Hopefully, it doesn't end like the kids in Final Destination,
Ah!
but it's a long march down the aisle for my one and only co host, little bro, Jayce and I. What's up, Joe?
It'll flip over one way.
Yeah, one way.
Hey, guy, how you doing?
Outstanding. So, I guess we're here to talk about countdown to wedding movies.
Nah, that would be boring. Like, come on.
Okay, let's not do that.
Let's just talk about stuff
the whole
everybody
thing.
wants to enjoy.
Right. All right. We are here to talk about the amazing summer that is 2023 because we had Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. We had John Wick Chapter 4. Fast X drops this Friday. And then today we got the new trailer for the Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. So it's like this is the most amazing action spectacle summer possibly of all time. Yay, nay, what do you think?
They're when the first Marvel movies came out, like when you had was it Captain America, Thor, and then probably a Fast and Furious because they were putting them out every year. It seemed like. I mean, there were some good there. If you look at like totality, there's been some really great summers, like when Mission Impossible. I mean, was it Men in Black came out, like the Star Wars. Like, there's been some great movie summers, but for this one in recent history, especially post-pandemic, like this is like, hey, if you want to have Nicole Kidman saying this is why you come to the movies, yeah, this is what I can mean. Like, since we've basically been on a great run since Top Gun Maverick. Like, I mean, you can just jump. I mean, anything that most people say they want to see, it's like, yo, this has actually been pretty good. Like, I mean, we talked to Javon. He's like, hey, this Dungeon and Dragon thing doesn't suck. Like, everybody who's seen Super Mario Brothers, like, yeah, that was a good movie.
Doesn't suck either. Yeah,
and it's like, oh, did you see Guardians of the Galaxy? Definitely didn't suck. So yeah.
All right. Well, since you queued it up and since we haven't talked about it, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I felt like when I wrote my review that this was maybe the first MCU film since No Way Home, because I hate that it's all these taglines are it's the best Marvel Cinematic Universe movie since Endgame. And it's like, what are we doing here? We've had a great Spider-Man movie, and it was, in its own right, just as good. Or, I mean, not the same level of Endgame, of course, because it didn't have 19 films to set it up, but it was still really, really good. And they've had some pretty decent ones, Multiverse of Madness, Wakanda Forever. But to me, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is so far and away better than the rest of the crew in Phase 4 and what we've seen so far in Phase 5. What are your thoughts on it?
Okay. I really loved Spider-Man No Way Home. I really liked Doctor Strange's Multiverse of Madness. Everything else, yeah, you want to say it's better and have your stuff, that's fine. I love, I mean, let me say this, I love Guardians. Like, that was as much as I said I wasn't going to go see that movie if, the reviews on Lyle's Movie File weren't good. I was like, yeah, it's in the contract for us. I got to do it every episode. So it was like, until I was like, hey, these trailers are crap. Like, you guys are 100% not bringing me in. Like, I like Ant-Man and Quantumania, but there was problems with it. And it's like, that's one of those, yeah, do you remember MODOK? Yeah, MODOK.
Pepperidge Farms remembers.
I mean, yeah, it's like there's a lot of issues. Like, when you say, oh yeah, they did the CGI when they were doing Wakanda Forever. It's like, yeah, I know which one was first, huh?
I know it was the priority.
So, but this one was 100% like James Gunn's like, hey, you guys brought me back to wrap up this round of guys, and it was given the care that was necessary, unlike how we felt cheated. And I will say this, I felt cheated for a whole lot of reasons that Black Panther is not going to get that treatment, no matter what. if they do a third movie, you're gonna be like, it's not really wrapping up. You gotta go like two, three more to give me a Black Panther dude, movie. That's nothing against Shuri, but it was like that was a whole different kind of healing movie, and it's like it's not gonna get wrapped up in a trilogy.
Yeah,
Which
it's
I think
weird because I think we talked about this. Like, Wakanda Forever is a good movie, but it's a weird one in the sense of like, how many times do I see myself rewatching it, watching over and over, like I did the first one, which was just like, oh, you know what? Today's Tuesday. Let me watch Black Panther again.
Yeah, it's like I might have Disney Plus on, and it's like, oh, this. I mean, like it's like my TV has a scroll, like, hey, yeah, this is playing on Disney Plus. I'm like, yeah, but there's also Lost Kingdom, so I'm gonna keep. I mean, Last Kingdom, so I gotta finish that up. So
Destiny is all.
I mean, so I'm not clamoring to watching it. It's like if you were trying to pitch that Black Panther 3, it's like, all right, it made this amount of money, and it's like, okay, we've seen what happens when we go past 3 on these movies, and not these giant overarching movies. It doesn't. I mean, the return's not great. I mean, maybe I'm overestimating Love and Thunder, but I don't think I am. Like, so
Let me ask you this question. I wrote because I didn't like Peacemaker at all, but I really, really love the Suicide Squad. I thought what James Gunn did there was fantastic, and it's fantastic because I thought the Suicide Squad was. I hated Peacemaker. I felt like it was way too over the top. I'm gonna do everything, and I felt like he needed somebody to rein him in. And I was like, gosh, is the whole DC universe gonna be like Peacemaker? Because if so, I'm not excited about it at all. But then after watching Guardians, I'm like, well, sheesh. I mean, he was saying I'm not gonna make Superman like he did Suicide Squad. And I was like, we'll see. And after watching Guardians, it's like, man, I don't know if Marvel and Disney aren't going to really feel the loss of James Gunn not being in their universe anymore and working for the distinguished competition. What do you think?
Well, since they are now in control and reading that the new animated Superman movie is going to be a rated R movie, I'm like, I remember watching was that Justice League or Justice League Dark, and they came out with that crap.
Which one? Which one are we talking about? Because Justice League Dark was fine. No, are you talking about Apocalypse War?
Apocalypse War. It's like that was like, yeah, I don't want to see another movie where it's like you got just extra crap. I don't even want to go into.
We're just killing off good characters for
it's like, oh, we're just gonna kill them and then wrap them up. Like, yeah, that's cool. Like, and it was like, oh yeah, we need a new Flashpoint. Yeah, we do, because that was complete S. But James Gunn, Peter Safran, I'm like, all right, guys, if you guys can give us something similar to a Guardians universe where you give us really compelling characters, and I know we haven't delved deep into Guardians, but the new characters they added in there for one movie, by the end of the dang movie, I cared a lot about him. And there were some scenes, it's like when people say, oh my gosh, this movie's too heavy. It's like, yeah, like there were some heavy scenes in there. And it was very much like, because within one movie, he got you to care about something. And that was very good going forward. It's like, okay, if you can make me care about, say, your new Superman after this one movie, cool. If you make me care about Batman and what's this? Damien. If you make me care about everybody in that character and that movie, good. And that also kind of prove you can. You can cram in characters as long as your other characters are really good, and you can build them too. Because it's like, hey, you already established these guys, and they're gonna not do anything weird. They're gonna just give you everything you want. So as long as you enjoy these characters, you're gonna love this movie. And I think that was the good thing about Guardians. Like, you felt everything in there. And it was like, by the end of it, it was like, man, I wish they'd get rid of these allergies in here. Man, I don't know what's going on.
It's really heavy. My throat was getting all
man, I don't know what. I mean, it's like you went to a different movie theater. I had the same problem. I was like, they really got to work on the filtration of these theaters. COVID, I thought COVID got rid of this problem. Like,
my eyes are just watering. I don't understand it. But yeah, it was, I love that movie. I just felt like, I think what's happened, we're seeing so much of the MCU directors, screenwriters going away from what worked to we got to do a new thing, make it all new, all fresh, all exciting. It's like, well, I mean, it worked for 20 movies or 21 movies. Do we need to shake things up? I mean, they're still making $1 billion movies here. So
again, there's a point where you gotta ignore what critics say and give the audience what they want. Because critics are always gonna complain. Like, I mean, they're gonna always blah blah blah. It's more the derivative things, and that's why they can pounce on a movie like Ant-Man and Wasp. Like, yes, all it is CGI and absolutely nothing in it. Yes, we finally got it. And you got people like, all right, you got me on this one. And it's hard to defend. But this one, you're like, hey, I can show you after watching Guardians 1, Guardians 2, you get exactly what you want out of Guardians 3, and you're gonna be like, what's going on? Yeah, that was okay.
And it made you want to see more, as opposed to Thor Love and Thunder, which was like, I'm gonna need a new director and a new writer to fix this film, because Thor and Endgame, Thor and Infinity War was in a great place, and the Thor and Love and Thunder was just, he was so far left field, out of pocket, that it was like, I have no interest in watching that again. The bleeding goats with him fawning over Jane and him kind of trying to, I'm sorry, Mjolnir, I didn't mean it. It's like, none of that. We're good. Yeah. I don't need to trace it.
I mean, the weird thing is, like, after watching that, it's like how Guardians didn't even touch Thor, didn't mention him at all. I'm just going with, once again, the assumption that that was all Korg's story and none of that actually happened.
It was all a lie.
It was all a lie. So Korg could tell his kids he knew that, he knew the demigod of thunder, and that's what I'm going with. And if you go with that, it's like, okay, can you really take good criticism? This movie was silly. It is not good. Yeah. Like, I don't care what it grossed. It was.
It doesn't need a rewatch. It's just kind of there. I think every fork in the road decision Taika could have chosen, he chose the wrong way. And it's like, okay, well, we can help you because you don't know what you're doing here. I think with Ragnarok, Thor, his trilogy needed a shaking up to kind of get him from not being so stoic to, hey, Thor can be a fun character. And then with Infinity War, we got to see the comic book Calvary character who is saving the day. No worry, Avengers, y'all are getting your butts kicked. I'm here. I'm gonna take care of this threat, and we're good. And then the fact that he didn't save the day gave him all this tragic pathos, and kind of led him to letting himself go in Endgame, which also was a natural, easy progression to follow. I know some people don't like overweight Thor, but I felt like it made sense in this case because he got 5 years of hopelessness where he's just like, I've lost everything.
Right. I mean, I didn't say the damn hero. What, let's just say conservatively, like 15,000 years. He hasn't lost battles for real.
Yeah, I mean, he had an undefeated track record, and his one loss was the biggest loss, and all he had to do was think about it for 5 years. So he let himself go. It's a long-term depression.
He's lost again. At that point, Thor lost everybody he's loved. And he's like all the Warriors 3, his mom, his dad. I mean, hell, he even lost Loki. He's like, so he's lost everything. So he's like, wow. I mean, and my best friend. Like, yeah, it's like when he actually gives the recitation of all he'd lost, he's like, oh yeah. And because I didn't do what needed to be done, half the population of the whole galaxy died. Yeah, I'm allowed to be in my feelings. I mean, you got your problems, but in my
problems are real. Right. So we got all that. And then I was like, what the heck y'all doing? But anyhow, Guardians was so good because I felt like this felt like a way more focused MCU film. Wasn't concerned with setting anything up. It was just, here, we're focusing on the Guardians. And I don't know. I feel like I want to get that connection, that thread, that Thanos. Oh, really? These guys are coming for me? Court and death by fighting these cats? Bring it on. We still don't have that yet. And the tease of the multiverse, I don't feel has been as effective. I was talking to Gunner earlier today, and we're talking about kind of what the deal is with phase 4 and 5 so far. And I think the issue if you'll indulge me for a second, is the fact that there were lots of different, dare I say, more interesting ways they could have gone with 4 and 5. I don't know if anybody cares about the multiverse to be so like, oh, this is amazing. This is so great. I can't wait to see what they do with this. Because for starters, they're going, all those heroes that you love, they're getting replaced. DC saw this as a major problem when they killed off Hal Jordan, when Wally kind of replaced Barry. I don't think he had as much blowback as Kyle Rayner, but it was still like, oh, we miss Barry. And even in the pages of Flash, they kept, recalling how much pain he had from trying to live up to his uncle's massive shadow. The fans, like half the fans, didn't care about Kyle because he wasn't Hal. And then when Hal came back, it was like, all right, we'll give this Kyle another shot. Hey, he's not that bad. But it wasn't until they brought him back that everyone kind of universally loved Kyle. I feel like these characters in MCU 4 and 5, there's too many replacements. And no one wanted those replacements because it's like, okay, there are more characters in the MCU. We don't have to come up with a fill-in for Thor, for Black Widow, for
we got
Iron Man-esque.
We got 3 replacements for Iron
Hulk.
Hulk replacement.
And a Captain America.
Everybody on the original Avengers movie has been replaced.
Yeah. And I get it if you want to decide, all right, we're going to kill off a few. That's fine. But I don't think what was really needed was we have 82 more Black Widows. It's perfectly fine. It's not, though. No. We liked the Black Widow that we knew. Replacing her with the blonde sister, okay. And then don't say there's 78 more still out there because it's like, well, why do I care about this bomb?
I mean, I think we talked about this. Like when, was it like I was just watching Avengers and it was like, yo, the Black Widow. It wasn't Black. She's one of the Black Widows. It was the Black Widow. Everybody knew the Black Widow, and to diminish her by saying, oh yeah, she's one of the people who came out of the training facility. It's like, no, she's the best who came out of the training facility. It should have been shut down, or you come up with some, oh yeah, everybody's better. But it's like, don't say somebody is better than somebody left. Beat him. Do something. You got to hit him as a straight Sith. Like you got to take this dude down, and then you can call yourself Black Widow. You can't just I'm sure she's Black Widow. Like I like Florence Pugh. It's like she's a funny character. They made her very likable, but it's like, yeah, she's Black Widow. It's like, and we got Kate Bishop. She's Hawkeye.
And we got a new She-Hulk.
And we got Jennifer. Yeah, she's Hulk and she sings anything you can do, I can do better. It's like, nah, like you're not gonna. No one's gonna be clamoring to see you replace our guys, quote unquote, because no one wants that. It's just like, I know these are real actors. These are not immortal people you can keep around for 50 years, and you do have to replace them, but. You could, like how you were saying, there's plenty of other Marvel characters. You don't have to go with their replace. Like the Avenger, like even like the West Coast Avengers, it's like, yeah, they're different characters. You can say, hey, we need Hawkeye or, somebody there to open, or White Vision to open up the West Coast Avengers. Like, don't replace our guys. Just say, hey, they're doing their thing. Thor's doing his gravy. Hulk is chilling. But we're the world threat is over here in San Francisco versus in New York, and I think a lot more people would have embraced Phase 4.
Yeah, and then another thing was, I was having this conversation with my buddies, my figure collecting buddies in the area. We're talking like it seems like they had better Phase overall stories they could have gone with, like for Phase 4 instead of here are all these new characters and we're going to very lightly touch on the multiverse. Why not just go, the Avengers are dead and there are these characters who are stepping in and take their place. And midway through, shoot, these guys are actually villains. I feel like Thunderbolts was the first film post Spider-Man No Way Home. It would have been like, oh, shoot. And maybe the post-credit stinger, we see that they're villains, but the rest of the world doesn't know. And then maybe midway through at the end where Sam and the remnants of the Avengers have toppled the Thunderbolts and exposed them as frauds. Then um, one of the Thunderbolts kills one of Sam's Avengers, and it's not actually an Avenger, it's a Skrull. And then that goes into phase 5, which is Secret Invasion, and not a TV show, but something that sprawls across all these movies where the remaining Avengers and their new allies are trying to figure out who they can trust. And we see Scarlett Johansson back as Black Widow,
and we see Quicksilver's body is now a Skrull. Like,
yeah, we see Quicksilver. Like, what are you talking about? I don't even know you people. And Juan is going nuts because where did you guys switch out my brother with this guy who can't detect when a bullet is coming because he's a speedster?
Like, that would have mean
that could still work.
Yeah.
So there's lots of things I feel like they could have done. So phase 4 could have been Thunderbolts, the enemy within. Phase 5, the Secret Invasion. And then phase 6 is, oh shoot, Kang is coming to conquer the universe. And we find out that Kang was the force driving all this stuff. He talked to Baron Zemo. He's freed him from prison and said, listen, I happen to know some things about some things. Here's something you can do to set yourself up along this great path. And then he's the one that's talking to the Skrulls. Why don't you come to Earth and infiltrate their leaders? And then he's just sitting back waiting for his time to conquest because now he thinks this is my time to beat the Avengers. They're finally ready for me.
Better. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's like phase, like the Thunderbolts is definitely because like I didn't even read the comic, but it's like, hey, Baron Zemo being the dude at the end, especially in that vacuum, would have been really cool because it's like, hey, they're all beaten. Everybody thinks they're dead. Rhodey's literally basically protected by armed guards at all time. He's not War Machine anymore. Like all of them are out to pasture. So this new generation, like you could have used that phase 4 to build up the Thunderbolts, like with movies, their individual movies. And then all of a sudden, when the big Thunderbolt movie comes around, guess what? You got had. They're all a bunch of criminals. It's like, oh crap. Like, and then you get to that. It's like, oh, I didn't see all that. Like, oh, but then you see it like you, and it forces you to go back and watch those movies again because there is little Easter eggs, a little people in the know kind of figure it out, but not the general public. And that would have been much cool. Like phase 4 is I mean, it's a wash. I mean, you're very much like, all right, can we get to Kang? And unfortunately, now we can't even get to Dan Kang because some dude can't be like, hey, check the right women. Like, damn. Like,
oh boy, it's
like,
a little convoluted there. So we got all that, and I feel like we got a really good MCU movie. I think the next one that I'm looking forward to is Captain America: New World Order, or whatever they're gonna call it now. But I feel like if that had been worked in phase 4, that'd have been great because I feel like there was so much product in phase 4 that didn't really matter. I mean, we got Miss Marvel coming, and she's cool. I liked her show. Moon Knight was an interesting show.
No, it wasn't. It was bad. It was boring. Like, stop. It was not interesting. That joint was a snooze fest. Like accepted that joint was trash. And that's actually when everyone kind of thought, hey, maybe this phase 4 ain't that good. And I'm using like stupid words because it's like you were like, well, okay, like Captain Sam was cool. I mean, like Captain America Sam was okay. We got something here. There's gonna be a little darker tone to these, and you don't not want to put these really heavy issues on movies. Okay, we're going somewhere, and then you're like, wait a minute, what? That was trash. Like,
well, it was like we got Loki, then we got Falcon and Winter Soldier, and I felt like those are two really strong building blocks to whatever they were going to do with the multiverse. But then it was like, okay, that's it.
Yeah, you saw, hey, oh, Kang's gonna be this thing. Okay, wow, we don't know what Kang was like. We expected Kang to be first movie out the jump, ready to go. Like Kang is the thing. He's the new Thanos, and for what our intents and purposes, like folks who know Kang don't think Ant-Man could have, even with the Ant-Man family, would have been hanging with Kang for 2 seconds. It was like, I'm sorry, I'm smart enough to conquer the galaxy. I'm not smart enough to outthink a crook. Seriously? Like even Jan Van Dyne is like, yeah, you're smart, but I conquered a galaxy before I talked to you. Like, what do I need you? I mean, like, So
it was something. It was
yeah,
like,
I
what are
think
we doing
we've
here,
all
guys?
like truthfully, I think most Marvel fans are like, yeah, we've been let down by this phase, and you guys have to get us back. And Guardians of the Galaxy was a great way to try and bring us back.
And I think another thing is the characters they've introduced have been kind of low tier. Like instead of the A-listers who they made A-listers, I mean, Cap, Thor, and Iron Man and Hulk clearly A-listers. Black Panther, you could argue is A-list, B plus. Um,
A
and of
plus,
course, Spider-Man, A-lister.
mm-hmm.
So we've gone from those guys to here's Shang-Chi, here's Miss Marvel, here's She-Hulk, here's Echo. It's like, well, you guys do know you can make the Fantastic Four and X-Men movies, right? I mean,
You got the
what are you doing?
license, like for real. It's like it's like you. I mean, in all intent, I mean, for me, it's like you do know you actually have the rights to make the Defenders. Like you don't have to actually wait. Like you literally like they're on Netflix. You bought them. Like you don't have to hide the ball and say, oh, it's like you could have literally jumped right back in there and say, hey, we got them. Y'all want to see them? We got Disney Plus where we have a little more adult content. Like and people would have been game for it. Like none of the actors who people love said, I never want to do a Marvel movie. Oh, I mean, Kristen Ritter was on like a podcast like. I'd be back in Jessica Jones in like 2 seconds. Of course, she probably is, but it's like you didn't need to waste time on characters. It's like, oh wow, they're interesting. Like, I mean, it's like, and not even taking like someone to critique them, but it's like, yeah, they're C level, and they're not making fetch happen. I mean, it's just, and they got to work on it.
Yeah, like I think they could have gotten away with just doing a Young Avengers movie and we could have pieced together what happened from Young Avengers. I don't think we need to spend any time developing this future generation of younger Avengers. And I also feel like there's other characters who are still around that we would be interested in. Like when you said Defenders, I said, yeah, that'd be awesome. A Doctor Strange, Valkyrie, Hulk, Namor, and you're like, oh no, you're talking about the Netflix heroes. But I'm like, dude, they could have done that. That could have been an epic saga of 1 or 2 movies. They could have just brought the Defenders together in over the course of 3 movies. So many things they could have done. It's like,
I mean, it's like trying to go to like the kid route. It's like, yeah, you've already got the next generation. They're going to come in with us. They're not. You don't need the Jubilee character added to the X-Men to bring the kids in. It's like, no, they're coming in.
Kids are here. The kids are already in the building. All right, so let's shift lanes, shift gears, all the puns that I can come up with to talk about the big extravaganza, the other movie that I was most excited about coming out this year, next to John Wick Chapter 4, Fast X. I have seen it. My review is up on Lyle's Movie Files, but oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. This franchise is the absolute walking definition of fan service. All those issues, I was kind of setting up these speed bumps along the way that we've seen in phase 4 and 5 because I feel like the Fast and Furious films have not had that problem. They've been adaptable. They've decided we don't need to try to be this edgy, realistic, sort of kind of street race based series. We can just go bigger and more ridiculous, and everyone who's down for it will be right here with us. And turns out we can do a lot of movies just doing that. And it's really weird because they don't care about things like physics, gravity, reality. They don't care. I mean, they could have Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote pop up on screen, and I'd be like, that was awesome.
What a cameo.
Yeah, I'm like, that was great. That was so amazing. Did you see Roman's face when Roadrunner came out there? I mean, and I would still not care because they are not trying to make me think about the injustices of the world. They're not making me think. They're not going, oh, wow, man. Yeah, that's right. We got to go do something. Nah. They're like, movies are fun. They can be educational. Yeah, I mean, sure, but they're fun. They're talk about them with your friends. Watch it on the biggest screen possible. Blare that volume up. Watch these explosions. Watch these muscle dudes. Watch these hot chicks do their thing and not worry about anything. And that's what this movie delivers. And besides all the ridiculousness, because I need to put that to aside just for a moment to go, I'm starting to feel like the Fast and Furious saga is maybe not the best yet, but they're really working a very structured fluid narrative where, oh, we need to pivot because people like this character that we may have killed off too soon. No problem. Ridiculous soap opera thing happened, and they're still alive. It was their twin. Okay, great. Thanks for bringing Han back. Awesome. Oh, Letty's not dead. Great. Awesome. Perfect. And they just keep doing this stuff where it's like, thank you. And we know the only thing they can't do is bring Paul Walker back. But I might settle for his brother standing in and them doing the CGI awesomeness again because I like Brian O'Connor. But what I love about these shows or movies is that it feels like they actually have a purpose with things they write. And when they sort of kind of retcon something, it's like, oh, okay. Oh, that does actually work. All right, I'm with you. Go for it.
Like because I mean, as much as people might talk about, I'm like not serious. These aren't the best writers. It's like, no, their ability to retcon and it be like, I can see that. Like DeHaan, it's like, man, there was something always shady about that. I knew there was something shady. Like you bought into it. And it's like it may not have been the plan, but it's like
right.
You're like, yeah, I knew there was something. It's like, how did you know Mr. Nobody was in here coming, like taking him out of the
Exactly. That's the whole thing. Because, oh, you guys like Jason Statham's character. Okay, we can't have him be the super serious killer villain. But what is his one thing that he did that we have to fix? He killed Han. All right, let's figure out a way that he didn't kill Han. Mm-hmm. And that way you can feel like, hey, we like Jason Statham's character. We like Shaw. There you go. We got it fixed for you.
And he's got his beef. He's over his grudge. Like, okay, like he's worked through it. He's got his parole. He's he took his sabbatical, and Hobbs is elsewhere. But
I feel like that was my thing when I'm watching the movie. I'm like, this is so great and so amazing, but oh man, why is my boy Hobbs not in this movie? I was like doing my research before the movie, and I watched Fate of the Furious Chapter 8, and I was like, man, Hobbs is just a great character. I feel like he really keeps the thing going without Brian, because he's got that 3-man bro team going with Dom and Brian and Hobbs. Brian off pocket, it's like, oh man, where's Hobbs? I mean, the point where he just totally won it for me was when he broke the cast by flexing.
I mean, come on, how ridiculous was that? That was ridiculous, but still entertaining. It's like, I think I'm going back another thing you said. I know, like, I think that was one of the most ridiculous things. I loved it. But these are what we used to consider popcorn movies. Like, turn your brain off for 2+ hours, enjoy the ridiculousness. There's good dialogue in here, but there's nothing, as they say, nothing cringeworthy. All of it is fun. You're gonna laugh at it. You're gonna feel something. And at the end of the day, I mean, you're gonna be like, that was ridiculous. I'm gonna see it again.
Yeah, I'm gonna see it again. I can't wait for the next one. And it's just wild because you take a look at the saga. The first 3 films are just there, kind of like, hey, I think we have something trilogy. And it's just kind of like loops back to Vin Diesel riding off into the sunset, going into this race in Tokyo. And it's like, oh, that was fun. What a great way to end this series. That's cool. And then they're like, well, actually, what if we did another movie and kind of kept it a little bit more realistic, maybe a little bit grimy, but we can inject a little bit more fun. Oh, this was actually a pretty fun, cool movie. I still think Fast and Furious, I think that's the name of it, this chapter 4 is really underrated because it's like, okay, this is really fun.
Yeah, that's the one where they go to the drag race in Mexico. Like they had a big giant race. Like, nah, that was like they actually started like doing the robbing the trucks. I mean, like there was a story behind it. Oh, and you find out who the guy they're actually robbing from. It's like
it was actually a story to it. It was like, this is actually, it felt like it had gone from like this low level kind of thing where it's just like, hey, this is kind of cool and fun too. Oh, y'all are doing an action blockbuster style movie here. Yeah. Okay. And then Fast 5 just blew the whole franchise up where it's like, oh my gosh, all this is possible with this thing. You put an Ocean's 11 style team here and wow, this is great. And we're not doing a sledgehammer of, hey, Letty and Giselle are strong female characters. We don't need a hammer. We can just see it because we're watching the movie. They're awesome characters. Hey, they just so happen to be female and women.
Well, I mean, like, okay, you forget, like, when Giselle was first introduced, she was like, okay. But we did after.
I'm talking about Fast Five. They're still figuring out, but you gotta admit, they were trying to figure out what the heck they were doing in those first 3 films. And then it was like, I think we've got something that's better than this level that we've been operating on. I think we can take the sexiness, and because nobody's complaining when Vin Diesel and Rock are in their tank tops and wife beaters that are too small and doing their thing like rah, 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 from 8 Mile. Sorry. But yeah, I mean, I think they've done such a great job with it. And then 5 was like, this is now blockbuster, amazing territory. Fast and Furious 6 is like, are you still with us? We got a tank, people jumping. You with us? Great. Awesome. We're going to keep going harder.
Yeah, we got more. I think they've, unlike some of the TV shows we watch, they figured out, oh, there is more to this. Let's expand it, not crap on what we have, expand the heck out of it, but keep our core. And that means, like, if, say, like, Vin Diesel said, nah, I'm out, I think, yeah, we'd be like, yeah, it's over. But it's like, you know what? I do like making it. I like making sure there's a big fat check in my account, like, every July. I mean, there's how many times has that Fast and Furious been on TNT or TBS? It's like, I like that residual money that comes in every month because somebody's watching this dang movie.
But it reminds me that everyone else likes doing it too, except for Rock, because they're all like, yeah, we're here. We don't care about this yet. We're doing this movie.
When you say that, it's like, it's almost like Rock. If I'm glad Rock is still here, but if there was ever like a lean time the Rock had, I would almost want it to be this time, right 2 years before this, so he might actually come back into doing this. Like, if it's like, like after he got real sad and depressed after Shazam doesn't work, I mean, Black Adam doesn't work, Vin Diesel goes, hey buddy, how you doing, man? Sorry about that box office, man. You want to just come over and have some brews? Like, it got squashed. I mean, that would just be like this, and it's like, hey, since you're up here, you want to do another Fast and Furious movie? Like, you gotta think about, like, I too like making movies, that aren't just everything with my heart. Like, that would have been awesome. But not having him sucks, but I do think, it has been a good ride without him.
Well, this one, we got John Cena here. So we do have our wrestler covered. And Jason Momoa, I think when you watch the movie and then read what people say about it, you're going to be like, wow, he was really memorable and really wild and crazy. When I think about Fast and Furious, when you think about it, who are your top 3 villains in the saga so far?
Definitely Luke Evans.
Owen Shaw.
Braga.
From 4?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Braga has some length to it. And I'm trying to think. I mean, I'm always preferential to Miami, so I'm gonna go with my man from Tokyo. I mean, Too Fast, Too Furious.
Cole Hauser.
Yeah, because I guess because Charlize Theron, like, the guy it's like they kind of punked him so quick. I don't think they've ever given her that, like, she's good, but it's like they keep coming up with the saw for her. Really, like, they came out, like, you came out with what is Natalie's name?
Ramsey.
It's like they made her counterpart so quick, and it was like you didn't even let her kind of like get. She's got God's eye, and she's wrecking havoc. It's like, no, Ramsey's right here. It's like, come on, let her do stuff. Like, but when she did kill Dom's baby mama, that was kind of that was kind of dark there. But how Letty is taking Dom's kid in is just a thing of beauty.
You know what I think is also interesting is they've made this saga have consequences. Like, yeah, there's some impossible cheat deaths we see in every movie, but there have been characters that we care about that have been killed along the way. With Giselle, we've seen who else? Matt Schultz's character get killed off. Take care, Fast Five.
Mm.
Geez, oh boy, in the first one. Let's see who else. I mean, of course, we thought Han was gone, but there have been lots of characters that we kind of been invested in along the way who've been killed. So it kind of gives us just enough, like, well, maybe this person won't be around for this one.
Like, what was it? Dom's buddy from the first one, when he dies in Fast Five, you're like, oh dang, man, I didn't expect that. Like,
that's what I was talking about.
Yeah, okay.
Let me see here. I'm gonna see if I can pull it up. Okay. Jesse was the guy who got killed. And Vince, right?
Vince was the one I was talking about.
Yeah,
because it's like, oh wow, it's like he brought him back, and it was like, oh, I'm a reformed man. Hey Dom, I'm out here in Brazil, man. I'm living I'm a changed man. But if there's an opportunity, and then you're like, oh man, he's like, he's not just tripping on the Buster anymore. He's down, but it's
right.
Like, then he's like, man, they bring the big pile of cash. Like, that sucks, man. But,
so my top villains in this thing have to start off with Owen Shaw, because I just thought having the mirror image of the crew was awesome, and they stay in the fight. Yeah, they stay in there a long time with him, going back and forth, and the heel turn, the unexpected heel turn, kind of seals us like, yes. And then we got that tag team battle royal in a plane. I mean, the wrestling moves. I mean, it's like, yes, I don't care what else y'all do. That's still my favorite of the bunch, just because there's so much ridiculousness in it. But I love the ridiculousness. I'm all here for it. My guy, Reyes from Fast Five. He was really good too, because he had a nice sleazy element. Come here, let me give you a little pat here. He was really good, nice and sleazy. I like Deckard because it was like, dude, you killed Han. You're a bastard. And I think, but because they've redeemed him, I got to take Deckard off the list. I can keep Owen there because Owen was like awesome. But I think now I got to add Jason Momoa's character, Dante, on there, because he literally wants to make everything burn. And he's wild, man. He is the Heath Ledger Joker that this series has never had, where it's like, what is he doing this scene? This is bizarre. Oh man, that's really creepy. That's weird. That is, dude, what are you doing? The whole time he's on screen, and it's just like, wow, he is really just a totally different force of any other character we've seen throughout 10 films already.
I mean, like, I wasn't fortunate to get the call to go see this one, but even just seeing like the
trailer, were planning things. I don't want you to get in trouble for being away for 4 hours.
There's probably truth to that, but
there's truth to it. Trust me.
But even just like seeing the trailer, they gave him a compelling backstory. Like, here's why I'm about to do what I'm about to do, and you're like, okay, I got buy-in right there. And if you just follow the plan, like how ridiculous these guys are when they're just doing their thing. If you have another counter to that, like, oh, my purpose is to stop you guys from doing, or show you the consequences of all the stuff you do. It's like, that seems like it's going to be a fun movie to me.
It is. And this one is the first one in the whole deal that has a cliffhanger. And it was like, I mean, I clearly knew I had been watching the movie for a while, but when it was like, oh, I don't think they have another half hour to wrap everything up here, it was like, oh,
I know what you're doing here.
I was like, darn it, when is this next movie coming out already?
Okay. Let me ask an easy question. Is a cliffhanger for this one better than
Matrix?
Matrix.
I'm not even sure what your movie was, but yes.
Oh, it's Matrix 2 to 3. That's me. You want? I mean, like, I I don't think of Empire Strikes Back as almost having a cliffhanger. It's just there's more story to come, guys.
Yeah, that's how I felt with it too. Like it was, I know I read that some people hated the fact that it didn't have an ending, but I was like, it does have an ending. It's Luke has to finish becoming a Jedi. They're gonna go find Han and track down, Jabba and take care of him, and probably have to keep avoiding Darth Vader. What's gonna happen now that Luke found out that Darth Vader's his father? Oops, spoiler. But I didn't feel like it was. I didn't feel like, oh no, this is the end of the movie for real.
Hey, who are these people who hated that ending?
Well, Josh Whedon's one of them.
Who matters says that's wrong.
Yeah,
I didn't ask somebody who's aggressive to everybody in the world. Oh gosh, like no. I mean, somebody actually matters.
Yeah. So I feel like this one is really good, and not to just borrow on all the great sequels like Dark Knight and Empire Strikes Back, but I thought this one did a really good job of splitting them off. Luke is off learning to be a Jedi, and Han and Leia and Chewie and 3PO are off, and they're meeting new characters. They kind of do this in this one a little bit more than some of the other films, where there are three very distinct separate subplots with characters kind of doing their own thing. I kind of love the fact that Letty is no longer just a random driver of a car. Like her specialty is now, like if she had a Resident Evil, Letty, master of the motorcycle, dirt bike. I kind of like the fact that she has a specialty that sets her apart from everybody else.
Okay. She's not just she's actually unique. I was gonna say, like, I think that's like them splitting off actually is what makes Fast 6 good, because you do see them kind of split off a lot more than, all right, let's figure out what Dom wants us to do, and then we just do it. Like,
well, this one they kind of like they're doing their subplots, but it's not a thing of, all right, everybody, let's come together at the end. It's they're very spread out for like the first part of the movie, and then they don't come back together in most cases, and that's kind of fun because it's, oh wow, okay, y'all are really splitting the team up here. What's going to happen? And then they create one, and then that leads into another one that does not get resolved by the time the movie's over. It's like, hey, they actually didn't go back to this, and they didn't come back to this character. So it's kind of easy to fill in some blanks in terms of what direction they're going to head in. Now that they've got a cliffhanger. And I want to add, because I feel like we do this thing, or people do this thing. I was watching this live stream, and the Hasbro Transformers team were talking about the different Autobots, and they're like, yeah, and she's a really great addition to the cast. She's another strong female character. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's a Transformer. Do we say weak-tailed dude? No, we just say, I don't feel like we've ever said strong male character. But I want to add Letty to the list of all-time kick-tail action heroes who happen to be women. Because Letty she gets it in ever since she was fighting Gina Carano. In every fight scene, in every movie since then, she's really been bringing the physicality, and I'm really starting to appreciate her as an action hero. Because like in all these movies, she's like the one in Fate of the Furious, where she's fighting a big dude up on the sub. Like, man, that's good stuff.
I mean, I always think her against Ronda Rousey was good too.
Right, yeah.
That was I mean, like the Gina Carano was good, but that Ronda Rousey was like, okay, I thought you guys were going to use Ronda Rousey a little different, but I also appreciate how you had, Letty kind of like, nah, I got this one. It was like that kind of like pumped her up, like, okay, like we know this is the baddest woman in the world, even though there's a movie, but it was like, oh, okay, she's throwing down with her. That was cool.
Like, yeah. So Letty has to join my list now, alongside Princess Leia, the Bride, Ripley, and others that I'm blanking on, but those are my immediate Hall of Famers. I'm gonna put Letty on that list too. And another thing that I'm finding is a nice correlation with the Fast and Furious and the MCU is how it's rewarding fans from the beginning of the series. Like in Fast Furious 9 or F9, there's a flashback scene where we see young Mia, young Letty, young Vince, young Jesse with Dom and Jacob. And it's like, oh, that's cool. You guys are like doing small things that people who haven't watched these movies wouldn't hate or may not understand, but it's like, oh, that's cool. You guys did that. This one continues that trend because it's just little random things where it's like, hey guys, I see what you're doing. That's really cool. And I appreciate all these little nods to things, these references to different other aspects. And that, oh, we've got this thing. If you haven't been paying attention, we got you again. And I really love this one. So I told you 6 is my favorite. 5 is another one that's right there. Like, it's like picking your favorite sandwich. Hard to choose which one, but they're like here. I just like 6 a little bit more because we have Han and Giselle getting more screen time, and we lose the 2 other guys. So we just have a really focused, tight team, and the bad guys are so great. And the stunts are crazy and amazing, and everyone is still there at that point. 7 is also really strong, but it's like, no, this is the last time we're going to see Brian. 8's fun. 9 has some good action with Jacob. But I feel like this one, because they've got a really great villain that they will not ever try to redeem. They're not going to siler him. I think this is right up in my top tier of Fast and the Furious films. And
like top 3.
I feel like it's just adding into the upper echelon. So we got Fast 5, 6, 7. I'm gonna put 10 in this category too. Okay. So I got my 4 strongest ones. Okay. This is right in that mix. And it's good stuff, man. I can't wait for you to see this. Break away tomorrow night so you can go to a screening so we can talk about this thing, because I cannot wait to talk about it with you. Because it's wow, it's crazy, amazing. It is just so, I can't believe they're getting away with what they're doing and making this movie universe, this cohesive thing that traces back to the first one. I was reading on Rotten Tomatoes, a bunch of critics that really cares what they were going to say. And, maybe like half of them at the time I was reading were split. The franchise has finally ran out of gas. The jokes are stale. The stunts are ridiculous. Like, at what point did you not know this was a ridiculous franchise? They didn't care. The fans kept paying money, and they don't care because the fans are paying money.
Did you not see Too Fast, Too Furious?
Did you not see the first one?
I mean it's like did you not understand? This isn't. If this is one franchise. If it's not for you, it's not going to draw you in. I mean, it's so like bad. I mean, you can jump me. You can figure, hey, first one. Yeah, this isn't for me. See yourself out. That's fine. We're not gonna begrudge you your movie taste, but this is not coming. If you don't enjoy this, it's not for you. But if you can get through that first one, because I mean, yes, I own all the collection, but if you were to sit somebody down and they said, oh man, that was the next one, I got another one right here. They will one. There's going to have one where they're gonna be like, man, that was a little too. They're gonna be like, that was kind of. But you thought that was ridiculous. But let me play this next one for you.
I thought that was ridiculous.
That was ridiculous.
You have another one?
Did you see that? Remember how that tied into that? That was kind of slick. You got another one? I mean, it's a nice. You're getting 10 movies and just be like, yeah, this is a good weekend or a week of movies, and you're like, man, there was some ridiculous stuff in there. But I laughed. I enjoyed myself. My 2 hours that I was watching that, I got at least. I watched the movie for 2.5 hours plus, and I probably got at least 2.5 hours talking about it. That was enjoyable. And it wasn't dealing with the problems of the world. It was just an enjoyable movie. And that's what a lot of us need now.
Yeah, that is this franchise in a nutshell. They just are like, let's have fun. And that they know it's ridiculous. And they're like, who cares? We're not trying to solve world problems. We're just going to make an entertaining couple hours for you and call it a day.
And you're going to care about the characters too, which is the other thing.
Right. So Vin Diesel, like his credibility may have taken a little hit with that whole public plea, do it for Paul, to The Rock. Rock was like, hey, man, what are you doing? But he did say that the executives saw Fast X and were like, I know you were thinking of that last one, this next one, 11 being the last one, but could we get another one? Let's make it even 12. And after watching this movie, I'm like, you know what? If I'm a Universal executive, I'm going, what is it going to take for you to make another 10? Because this was insane. And maybe they can't keep the quality up, but I like to see them try. And it's so much fun. And I can't wait to see this next one because I can't wait to see it. And I need you to remember to stay true to the promise. Don't go on social media. Detach, unplug from the matrix until you see this movie.
I can easily move around because I mean it's like I work in a space where nobody decides to be, you know, spoilers, because it's like, oh, you decided to try and spoil that. Oh, delete, delete. Like really easy for me. I don't play those games, but I want to see this movie. I think that's the easiest thing. It's like I know it may be a second, but I'm gonna enjoy this movie. It's like if so and so and dead, so and so comes back, something ridiculous. I'm still down for it. That's the great thing about these movies. It's like I'm good. So
yeah, I feel like you're definitely not going to be like, oh man, I can't believe they did that. You're just gonna be like, yep, cool. I mean, I can't believe they did that. Might be more of a, wow, these guys are getting away with doing this. It's so amazing. Bring me more.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm not even know what the topic is, but it's like when you brought back Han and made it credible. I mean, it's like you guys got good writing. I don't have to worry too much. I mean, that's the good thing. Like if you got some slum writing, it starts making me, you know, wonder about why I'm wasting my time. But it's like each movie is like, okay, we got something fun for
You,
it.
you kind of look like you look a little unwell. I think you have a cold that's coming, and maybe you need to go hit up a 2:30 screening tomorrow.
Unfortunately, I got that other thing. You know, it's main time on that. So yeah.
I like how you said. I like how you said. Unfortunately, that was my favorite part of that. Unfortunately, I've got this whole wedding to
yeah, you know, I got that whole wedding to deal with. It's gonna be fun.
Like, yes. All right. Well, it's that time, brother. Who's your nominee for Dummy of the Week?
Oh, okay. My dummy is the studio heads for not giving these writers their due money. And because once again, if you don't have that, quality will suffer and people will lose their jobs. See Heroes, because Heroes, How I Met Your Mother, Smallville season 7. Like a whole lot of these shows we're going to, it's like, and I know there was another show that literally is like, we ended after that season because it was so bad. We could not wrap it the right way. And shows you think are money and great are going to be lost, and you're going to lose yourself more revenue in the long run in terms of digital ads, streaming revenue, subscribe. I mean, and a lot of these things that are making people subscribe to your streaming network are going to get cut. I mean, it's like, because people are going to be like, oh yeah, like Heroes. Yeah, this is crap. I'm not coming back to this. Oh, How I Met Your Mother, Barney's the main character of this dang show. Yeah, I'm out. Like, you're gonna find more shows. It's like you guys have banked on 10 of these pilots, and they're gonna be your Thursday night lineup, and you're gonna get crap writing, or you're gonna have to push it back a year. And it's like, no, pay these guys their money. I mean, pay these, you know, all these folks their money, and get some good quality products, and make it up in adding, you know, streaming. I mean, you're already asking us for streaming revenue, so make it up there. Like, and yes, and also get it out of your pockets too. So not doing that makes my dummy a movie.
Absolutely. I have two. My first one are the paparazzi that almost got Prince Harry and Meghan into a serious car accident. How crazy is that? Like, what are y'all doing? That's nuts. My other one is the media reporting on Jamie Foxx being on his deathbed while he's at home and from the hospital and playing pickleball. Two really bad hits for the media there. Like, really bad. I kept looking on Twitter. I was like, why is Jamie Foxx still trending? And then his daughter was like, you know what? I had enough of you clowns. He's home. He's been chilling. He's recovering. He's playing pickleball at the house. I don't know what y'all are talking about. That was bizarre and crazy. So, yeah, y'all are my dummies of the week. Do everything better with your jobs. And remember, pay your writers, people. All right, bro shot. Thank you as always for rolling with me. Thank you all out there for watching and listening. And do send some well wishes to the dear brother for this big upcoming weekend. This episode allows movie files, has been filed.